Now we are ready to play our tracks. What should we do for that?
Well, let me think. The way the app looks, we're seeing these tracks. We have a placeholder here where the audio tag goes. So we need to put the audio tag there, but then when somebody selects an item here, we want to get a reference to the audio tag and run a method on it, right? There's a play method. So what does that mean? We need an event handler on the grid. The event handler will get a reference to the audio player, and then we'll run some methods. So let me go to the docs first, and I've already gone there. There's that audio tag. So I'm going to just copy that and then go back to our code. So here's where the audio control is supposed to go. So I'll put that there, and then we'll clean this up a little bit. So first, before I forget, you notice whenever I do this copy and paste, somehow I get this strange curly bracket thing at the end. Anyway, so let's go up here and import it. And let's see what properties we need here. Probably none of these.
Reference, maybe you need a reference to play songs.
Yeah, we will need that actually. Good point. So loop just says that once it starts playing the song, it keeps playing it in a loop. I suppose we could do that. URL is the URL for the track, but we won't know that until somebody selects a track in the grid. So I don't need that property. Poster URL, that shows like a little thumbnail. I can't remember if the Spotify feed actually has thumbnails for tracks, but in any case, I'm not going to do that. And then enable controls, they just, in this example, they're just showing that, hey, I can set certain properties depending on the runtime environment. In this case, they're doing a test for Android. That's irrelevant for us, right? We're just running on desktop.
And we do not run our audio in loop, right?
Well, we could. I guess it doesn't do any harm. I guess it depends what the user would want, right? If you click it, normally it plays the track for, I don't know how long the tracks are, 30 seconds or something, and then it just quits. So yeah, I'll go ahead and remove that. We don't need that. So now we have a ref, right? So this is just a regular old React ref. So I have to go up into the constructor. Oh yeah, sorry, hold on. I gotta name it better. Actually, this dot, and it's not a string. Hold on. Okay, so now up in the constructor, whoops, I'm sorry. To React, create ref. Now it's not quite right here, I guess. So I'm thinking this through. Not all tracks actually have an audio track, it turns out. So by default, I want this to be disabled. And then when somebody selects it from the grid, we'll procedurally enable it or disable it depending on, if there actually is a track or an audio track. In other words, I'm going to set disabled to true. Okay, so now we need an event handler.
Yeah, we need to do like a select event on our grid. Let's check documentation. What event can we use?
All right, so let me take a look at grid. I think you may be right. I think there actually is an event called select. So onSelect, yeah. So we'll try that one. So what this sends is the first parameter, as usual, is just a reference to the thing that fired the event. So in this case, it's the grid itself. The second argument, it actually is an array of records. And the reason it's an array is because you can set a grid up so that it has multi-select. We're not doing that. So in our case, we'll always just take the first element. But it's onSelect is what we have to wire up here. So if I go here somewhere, why don't I create a method here, onSelect. And then I said the first parameter is the grid, the second parameter is records, plural, because it's an array of records. And we want to listen for that.
Select.
Oh yeah. What, I've got to spell it right, you're claiming?
onSelect.
Oops, sorry here. Okay, so this onSelect. And then yes. All right.
You need to do bind.
Oh yeah, duh, right, sorry. So normally, as you all know very well, I've got to bind to this. Otherwise, I can't reference this inside of that callback. So what I often do when I first set something up like this, I just do a console log just to make sure I've actually wired it up correctly. So I'll say console log. So here, why don't we say this? I want to say the record I want is actually record subscript 0, the first one. And then I want to log record
data.
How about the name? And then we'll just see if we hit that track or not. So what we should see is that track name logged, and it is. Good. So we're hitting our event handler. So now I just have to get a reference to our player, and play it. So let me go back to the API docs. I'm going to go to audio again and look up some of the methods we need. So I think the key properties are this thing has a URL. So I'll run set URL, I'll run set disabled or enable, and then I'll run or stop.
Play or stop.
Play or stop, thanks. So let me go back to the code and go to our event handler. So we only want this enabled if there actually is a track to be played. So we need an if statement here. So I'm going to say, well, first actually, let me get a reference to the component. So I'm going to say this, audio, current. And for ExtReact, the underlying React component itself is available under a property called CMP. In other words, if I wanted to run a method on our React class, I would just use current. If I want to run a method on the ExtReact component, then I say current.component. So there's a reference to the component. And then in this if statement, I'm going to say
record.data, if record.data preview URL.
Is it like that?
Preview underscore URL.
Lowercase u, like that?
Yeah.
So if we have a URL, it's not empty, then let me think, what do we want to do? We want to say...
We do audio.set URL to assign this URL to our audio component.
Okay, so let me just copy that in there. Okay.
Then we enable it audio.enable, and we play it audio.play.
Okay, and then what if there's not a track?
Then we need to stop playing anything if we are playing something. Just audio stop.
So here, let me kind of rearrange this. So if there's not a track, I'm going to say stop.
Then we do audio.disable.
Disable. Okay.
And last thing that we are doing is to set URL to null.
Okay, so if we have data, assign that URL, enable it, and that means the user can now hit pause or whatever, and then start it playing. And if they click one that doesn't have a track, then we'll need to stop it, clear out the URL, and then make it disabled again until next time. Okay, so let's try it out. So I will hit save, and we will... Uh-oh, now I'm scared, so I don't know what song to play here. All right, we'll just pick the first one. And I'm not hearing anything, so why would that be? So let's set a breakpoint here. So if I go to album.js, and what I'll do is I'll put a breakpoint right inside of that callback. And we know we're hitting the callback because we're logging it. Here we go. So let's kind of choose a song and step through here. So audio, we have it. Data, record, data, that's correct. It could be this artist just doesn't have any, actually. It's entirely possible.
Preview URL, yeah, preview URL is now.
Okay, so we need to pick, sometimes somebody will have a release, but for whatever reason, they don't let Spotify show these previews, right? So you have whole albums or singles or whatever without anything. So we'll just choose another one. So let me remove that breakpoint. I probably wouldn't have liked it anyway, right? Okay, so let's choose another one. Nothing. Uh-oh, I'm starting to feel... All right, let's set a breakpoint again. Hard to believe all those don't have any. Hold on, I'm going to look down here. Yeah, this one's null too. Wow. Okay, so we're just getting some bad luck here, I guess.
Breakpoint.
Oh yeah, I'm at a breakpoint, thanks.
Finally!
Finally. So I'll say that's unusual. It's typical actually that there are preview URLs, but whatever, I just had some bad luck there and I wasn't hitting any. But yeah, that works. So now the problem is I'm thinking when this thing starts playing, it's going to play that full 30-second preview. So I wonder what will happen if I close the window. So let me start it playing. Yeah,
It's still playing.
and it's still playing. So we need to fix that. And actually, that's really annoying. How do I get it to stop now? Here. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to kind of null it out and stop it playing on the way out. You know, when we close it. Now we already have code for that. So let me see here. Where did we put that?
On hide event, we set our state album files, so we can add this logic here.
So here, so then I need a reference to my
Audio.
so I'll just copy this too to be extra lazy. All right, so then here, so we're, as before, we're clearing out the state, but we're also saying, hey, stop playing if you were playing, clear out that URL and disable.
It looks like it's a good point to do a refactoring because you have code duplication, but we will leave it for now.
All right, so let's see if it works. Now I forget who actually had music. Where was that? You remember what song it was?
No. Yeah.
And it did stop. Okay, great.
Well, and we have last point. We need to add chart to our details dialog.
Right, the last thing we need to do exactly is we need to replace this, this container over here with our chart, and we'll do that next time.